The 1950s marked a decade of great growth for Treichler Lodge. In the early part of the 1950s, our lodge was still meeting in the borough of Elizabethtown, in the building that now houses Brothers Pizza on South Market Street, just across from the United Church of Christ. As a member of the community, you could purchase a new house for an average of about $10,000, and a gallon of gas would cost 22 cents. That shiny new car in your driveway would have cost you about $1,700. In 1950, the lodge ended the year with 209 members, having raised 15 new masons. Within one decade, the lodge grew to over 300 members, growing by more than 50%. The masters that served during this time were true bulwarks of the lodge, men who managed the fraternity through times of growth and expansion. Brother Carl S. Fritz, worshipful master in 1950, was an educator at the Thomas Rankin Paton School for Boys. It was only appropriate that during his tenure as master that the Grand Lodge placed greater emphasis on education, providing materials about Masonic topics to all new initiates. 1951 saw Brother Russell Miller take the helm. Brother Miller was best known for having conferred all 3 degrees on his own son, with the last degree taking place at the George Washington National Masonic Memorial in Alexandria, Virginia. In 1952, the lodge had fallen on hard times, as the secretary became unavailable. It was Brother Richard Flory, then worshipful master, who had to take the bull by the horns and pilot the lodge by appointing a new secretary. The lodge was also commended for assisting other lodges with admitting their members to the Masonic home during that year. Service to the fraternity in both work and leisure has always been a staple of the members of Treichler Lodge. In 1953, Brother Amos Landis would serve as worshipful master while being employed as the orchardist at the Masonic homes. It was also in 1953 that the Grand Lodge ruled that blindness would not count as an immediate disqualification for joining the fraternity. While some things change, others stay the same. Brother John Douglas, worshipful master in 1954, was a proponent of the DeMolay program and spoke well of it during his year, just as our lodge does today. The first issue of the Pennsylvania Freemason was also published. The magazine continues to be the main communication vehicle for the Grand Lodge of Pennsylvania to this day. 1955 marked the 40th anniversary of the lodge under the leadership of Brother Russell Trimmer, worshipful master. But all was not well. The lodge building contained steep stairs, which prevented many members from attending. This became a concern for the Masonic homes as well, as many Masons and residents could not attend the lodge. The first talk of moving to the Masonic homes started during this time. One face that was very common to several Elizabethtown residents in 1956 was that of Brother N. Carville Rothrock, worshipful master, who was employed by and faithfully served the United States Postal Service for a number of years. His relationship with the community was a hallmark of his term. Education continued to be an important part of Abraham C. Treichler Lodge, especially in 1957, when Brother Arthur Spickler, a teacher at Elizabethtown High School, served as worshipful master. Brother Spickler refocused the lodge on education and ensured new members continued to receive quality instruction. 1958 would be a big year for the lodge. On April 21st, Brother Willard Landis, worshipful master, would lead the lodge in its final meeting at the Bainbridge Street building. The Masonic Temple at the Masonic Homes was dedicated on April 26th of 1958, and the Brothers of the Lodge would hold their first meeting in the new building on May 19th. While under the leadership of Brother Otto Ferrari in 1959, Treichler Lodge would receive its oldest petitioner to date, Brother Simon Landis, grandfather of the most recent past master, Brother Landis, who was 83 when he petitioned to join. A grand old age, to be sure. So ended the 1950s. The lodge had grown in size, began meeting in a new building, and cemented its place as a community organization. It was a time of growth and stability, one which the lodge certainly enjoyed. But time marches ever forward, and by the 1960s, society was changing rapidly. As membership in our lodge increased, so had the standard of living for the average American, who is now taking home about $6,000 a year. On the other hand, the cost of fuel had only increased to 30 cents a gallon, less than a penny a year increase over the previous decade. Treichler Lodge began the decade under the leadership of Brother Samuel R. Jones, worshipful master. It would be a year of charity as members donated monies and times to several worthy causes, including the George Washington National Masonic Memorial, DeMolay chapters, and the Endowment Fund. Brother Harold Noker would helm the lodge in 1961 during a time of prosperity for the Grand Lodge. A new and innovative Masonic Month program was implemented, which concentrated on ensuring that degrees were conferred properly and at the same time by all lodges. 1962 marked an important turning point for Freemasonry in Pennsylvania, as Ladies' Nights became sanctioned by the Grand Lodge. Brother James Stutzman, then worshipful master, took full advantage of this, having the lodge's first ladies' night in June of that year at the Chalet Ballroom in Dillsburg, Pennsylvania. The cost to attend was $3 per person. Brother Max F. Balcom, Right Worshipful Grand Master, paid Treichler Lodge a visit in 1963, while Brother Donald Fink served as worshipful master. It's also noted in the lodge's history that the lodge in that November hosted a past masters night, when past masters would fill all of the chairs of the lodge for the meeting. After many years of success, 1964 marked a tough time for the lodge. The closing of the Olmsted Air Force Base caused many troubles for members. Brother Ralph Hunt, worshipful master, an employee of the Patton School, placed special emphasis on harmony during his year. For 50 years, Abraham C. Treichler Lodge had flourished, and 1956 was a year to celebrate. Brother Clyde Miller, worshipful master, pulled out all the stops with a fantastic 50th anniversary program. Many then wondered where the lodge would be in another 50 years, just as brothers today do the same. Brother Charles Zerfy, worshipful master for 1966, would lead the lodge in traveling to the George Washington Masonic Memorial, where a first degree was conferred. The speaker at the event was Brother Conrad Hahn, past Grand Master of Connecticut, then Secretary of the Masonic Service Association of North America. The records state that it was a most splendid event. 1967 is known as the Year of Light, as Brother David Eller, worshipful master, established 3 goals: increase attendance and fellowship, provide better Masonic education, and recognize those who labor on behalf of the lodge. During that year, a dinner was held before every lodge meeting in an effort to accomplish these goals. Brother Jonathan Smith, worshipful master from 1968, had a most unique installation. His father, a master mason but not a past master, was given the word of the chair by dispensation so that he could attend his son's installation. This is rarely done in Pennsylvania Freemasonry and is the only time it appears to have occurred in Treichler Lodge's history. As the 1960s closed out, Brother Stanley Ginder had the distinction of reigning over the lodge when great changes occurred to the ritual. The oath and obligation was changed, and the ancient penalties were reduced by the Grand Lodge. The speaker at the annual banquet was Lieutenant Colonel Walter H. Flint, assistant to the Apollo Program Director, who talked about being involved with putting a man on the moon.